straight at you? Or straight at Andrew?
Yep.
Okay, ready to go? I am very excited. Charger. Ampol opened their first Queensland-based EV fast charger in July last year, and it was such a success that today we're announcing the deal that has been struck by Yurika to install a further 34 across Australia, and that includes 6 in Queensland. So we're basically exporting Queensland expertise across the nation. We know that there's been a 51% increase in the number of people purchasing electric vehicles just in the last year alone. So this is so timely. So the 6 sites in Queensland are here in Morningside, and great for a community like mine where I know interest is high, but we are so close to the gateway here, so access on and off the gateway really quickly. But they're also opening in Sippy Downs, in Caboolture, in Batinia, in Tingalpa and Reedy Creek. We know that Queenslanders are very concerned about cost of living, they're concerned about climate change, they're concerned about protecting each other. Our Queensland Energy and Jobs Plans addresses those 3 all together. We're looking at 70% renewable energy by 2032, and this is such a big part of it. So it's very exciting. I know there's going to be huge enthusiasm here, and this one's going to be ready and working in 3 months' time. So I'm going to hand over to Greg Barnes from Ampol to talk a bit more in detail.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Di. Look, it's really a pleasure to be here at the Ampol site today at Ampol Morningside for this announcement. As I'm sure many of you would know, Ampol has been keeping Australia moving, as we like to say, for the last 100 years, and we've got a critical role to play and are very committed to the energy transition. Just a couple of examples. We launched our decarbonisation and future energy strategy in May of 2021, and that included a commitment to decarbonise our own operations to net zero by 2040, and we're progressing well there. It also included the development of a number of solutions for our customers to enable them to transition. One of those, of course, is AmpCharge, which is obviously the subject of this announcement today. AmpCharge was launched by Ampol in May 2022. So we've quickly scaled to run 5 pilot sites, and we're now committed to rolling out a network of fast and ultra-fast chargers over the next period of time of up to 140 sites and 360 bays, of which Morningside will be one of those. We are absolutely thrilled to be working with Yurika and congratulate Yurika on securing the work and partnership with us to support us in rolling out this infrastructure. It's a critical relationship, and they're certainly going to play a key role in that. So we're very excited about the prospects of the rollout. Also like to just acknowledge and thank the Queensland Government for their support, both for infrastructure and in the energy transition generally, and we certainly look forward to continuing to work with the Queensland Government in the years ahead as we embark on this energy transition. So thank you for that. I'll come back for questions at the end, but I'll hand over to Minister de Brenni. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Greg, and congratulations, Di, on your community being selected as part of the AmpCharge rollout. I'd like to join Minister Farmer and Greg and everybody at Ampol in thanking Yurika and congratulating Yurika, a Queensland-based company that has won the contract to roll out the AmpCharge program across the nation. We are exporting Queensland expertise right around this nation, and we'll be exporting Queensland expertise right around the world as part of our Queensland Energy and Jobs Plan. I'm here today to acknowledge this important announcement, but to also release this critical report that has been delivered by Energy Queensland. As Di said, the uptake of electric vehicles that will be served by this ultra-fast charging station here in her electorate is underscored by the massive uptake of electric vehicles in Queensland. There are 16,000 now registered in Queensland, and half of those registered in just the last 12 months. And so Queensland motorists are voting with their wallet. They know that switching to electric saves them money. It also helps us ensure that we're able to reduce emissions and tackle climate change. And so planning ahead is what our Queensland Energy and Jobs Plan is all about. This report released today allows us to understand the impact of electric vehicles on the grid. It allows us to make sure that we have the critical infrastructure in place to support that massive uptake of electric vehicles. This is nation-leading research delivered by a publicly owned Queensland company, Energy Queensland. Now, this report is important because it busts myths of electric vehicles. It also debunks everything the conspiracy theorists have been saying around electric vehicles as well. It makes over a dozen key findings, but I just want to refer to 4 of the key findings today. The first one is that the report found that electric vehicles in fact travel 20% further than do their internal combustion engine equivalents. That means that people who rack up a lot of kilometres each and every week, whether it's going to work or taking the kids to and from school, are making the decision to get behind the wheel of an electric vehicle. That explodes the myths that we hear around electric vehicles not being able to serve that market. The second key finding is that peak charging times are around 1 a.m. A lot of those conspiracy theorists have said that the impact on the grid will be too much to handle, people charging at the wrong time. What the research shows is that motorists who are behind the wheel of an electric vehicle know when to charge, they're following the signals around cheap tariffs, and they're choosing the cheapest times to charge their vehicles. Thirdly, we saw daytime charging being very, very popular. So those motorists that have rooftop solar are choosing to charge an electric vehicle during the day, particularly on weekends, so they can charge their car up for effectively free. And fourthly, we're seeing far less charging at home. Everyone expected that people would charge at peak times, putting too much demand on the grid in their own garage. But what we are seeing is that electric vehicle owners are becoming incredibly savvy. They're choosing to charge their vehicle at places like this Ampol service station here in Bulimba, or on one of our fast chargers through our electric superhighway that's right across the state. So by understanding these trends, we can plan for the future and we can grasp that opportunity to help Queenslanders save on their transport costs. That means that we'll double down through the Queensland Energy and Jobs Plan. We'll keep supporting motorists to make that decision to switch through our electric vehicle rebates that are on offer right now. We'll keep rolling out the electric superhighway. We'll keep supporting initiatives through businesses and Australian icons like Ampol and Yurika. We'll keep investing in public charging stations, and of course we'll keep building the Queensland Supergrid as the key initiative under the Queensland Energy and Jobs Plan. So thanks very much. Happy to take questions on the Smart Charge report or on the AMP Charge initiative we're announcing today. Greg, jump in.
Yeah, so depending on the question, I mean, the pricing to charge your vehicle in an ultra-fast charger, there'll be tiered pricing for different types of chargers in the market, but at this stage it's 69 cents a kilowatt hour, which is just perfectly in line with where the market is today. In terms of the... No problem.
Wait for the V8 to go.
Start again when he's gone. Yep. One of our existing customers, you see. Yeah, so in terms of the cost to the consumer, the current rate for ultra-fast charging is 69 cents a kilowatt hour. It'll take, it's a 150 kilowatt charger that'll be installed here at Morningside. That'll take 15 to 20 minutes, which is the right sort of speed and solution for consumers that are looking to, make the most of their time and are charging on the go.
Does that price change as you scale up, or are we fairly well set?
I'm sure the market itself will evolve as it matures. I think the price in terms of scale-up's unlikely to change just as a consequence of the scale-up. I think what will be really important for Ampol from an execution standpoint will be site selection, and we're putting a lot of time and effort into making sure we're giving customers the opportunity to charge at the destination or at a forecourt of their choice and that's most convenient. But that is also good for the utilisation of the charger and the economics. I don't think the scale up will change. I think the market will evolve. I suspect over time different models will evolve, but it's still very early days for it as an industry. But certainly Ampol's very committed to it and moving at pace.
Given the uptake of the grid of the EVs,
Yeah.
is the infrastructure there to charge them all, and do we need to fast track some more stations?
Yeah, look, I think maybe the way to think about it through an Ampol lens is it's really important that Ampol, when it's thinking about site selection, make sure it's got access and connectivity to grid, and that's affordable. That will vary by state, but what you're seeing is a pretty, I think, consistent and concerted effort by companies and governments to address that issue, and I think it'll be really important that we continue to just work constructively through those issues.
How do you site selection based on ownership of EVs or traffic flow?
Yeah, look, to be frank, some of it's proprietary. We've invested a lot of time into it, but if you were to boil it down to the simple metrics, things like demographics, traffic flows. We spoke earlier about, it's got to be a good customer experience, so access to amenities, a service station in traditional fuels has been very successful because of its location and its ease of use, and it's going to continue to have an important role here. Access to the grid it will be another driver of it, and the complexity of the site itself. But all those things go into making sure we get the site selection right, and that we can move it at pace in a committed but measured way to make sure we get an appropriate economic outcome as quickly as we can, recognising that the infrastructure will to some extent run ahead of the supply of vehicles, which is in itself is another consideration, and will be a constraint while global supply chains sort themselves out.
How many sites would you say?
In regional Queensland, nationally we've committed at this stage, and it's a big commitment. If you think about Ampol, really launched AmpCharge officially in May 2022, so we've committed to 140 charging stations or units, sites if you like, and that'll be about 360 bays. So that is a substantial commitment. That will take in the order of 18 months, 2 years to roll out. There's a few unknowns there around DAs and things like that, and making sure they all get approved. There'll be a number of those in Queensland. The next tranche is 34 sites that we're working with Yurika on. I believe 6 of those are in Queensland, including the Morningside site. But as I said earlier, the learnings from that tranche of rollout then feed into making sure we make optimal selection and rollout decisions for the group, and we'll be very committed to ensuring we have the right infrastructure for Queensland.
The time frame on those 6 Queensland sites?
So the one here specifically will be in the second quarter of this year. I believe it's going to be June 2023, and the timetable for the rest is a similar timetable. I couldn't give you an exact date, but it's going to be pretty quick.
The report touched on a bunch of myths that have been busted. Are you starting to see from consumers a change in attitude?
I think even just as a driver myself, 6 months ago you'd be unlikely to see 2 or 3 EV cars queued up at a set of lights, and you're now starting to see that. So, and you're seeing more suppliers come into the market. And one of the things we're doing is working very closely with some of those OEMs, Hyundai, BYD, and others, who are, I think, quite committed to coming to this market. I think it's no secret that there is supply chain constraints globally for EV vehicles, and that's going to take some time to work through. But certainly you're seeing an uptick, and the key for us will be to continue to get that balance right and make sure we're enabling the transition. Yeah, I'll get out of the way. Thank you.
While you're child safety minister, child safety effectively failed to act on rules that could have prevented the deaths of 2 little girls who died in their homes over heavy car in 2019. As the minister, would you take any responsibility? What are you saying to what's been revealed, and also what can the government do after that to try to make change?
This is a really tragic case, as all of these cases are, and I think we all can express our feelings about that to the family of those 2 little children and to the community in general. I understand that that the mother has pleaded guilty, though there is still a judicial process in train. However, I can say it's my understanding that a quite comprehensive review has been undertaken of that case and of processes, particularly at the Logan Child Safety Service Centre, and I think once the court processes are over, the current Child Safety Minister will be able to comment further. I'm sorry, I'm not able to comment on the processes within the Child Safety Department. I haven't been the Minister for that portfolio for some time now, but I'm sure the Minister for Child Safety would be very happy to comment in general on those sorts of processes. But I think it goes without saying that the government takes these sorts of cases extremely seriously, as they do every child safety case. But as I said, I can't really comment on what's been undertaken in the last 2 years.
And once those court proceedings are over, will the government commit to releasing the full QFCC report as well as the outcomes of the IPA review?
Look, I'm sorry, I don't have enough detail about that report. You will unfortunately have to ask the Child Safety Minister now about those details.
Yes, sure. So it's their first birthday at Wellcamp quarantine facilities today. Is the government worried about what the audit office report will reveal?
Look, the Wellcamp facility was an important initiative of our government to keep Queenslanders safe from the COVID pandemic. It should have been delivered earlier, but we saw resistance from the Morrison government. This was the government that wanted borders open, didn't order enough vaccines for Queenslanders, didn't order enough rats for Queenslanders. The whole scenario could have been much better for Queenslanders, and I'm sure the Audit Office will find this, that had there been cooperation from the federal government, then the whole process of managing the pandemic would have been much smoother for Queenslanders, including in relation to quarantine. Quarantine has always been a federal responsibility. Scott Morrison did not take responsibility for keeping Queenslanders and Australians safe. That's why we had to step in.
Can you say hands on heart you got value for money out of that project?
Absolutely. Yep.
It's been 6 months almost since the Premier said she had lots of big ideas of what to do with the facility once it got mothballed. We're yet to see anything. Is there anything you can share with us about that?
Look, I think that there'll be lots of opportunities to discuss that with the relevant ministers. It's a quality built facility. There will be lots of options for that. It has a long lifetime. Buildings like that and facilities like that have life cycles of many, many decades, perhaps 50, 60 years, so there'll be plenty of opportunity for that to return significant value to Queenslanders.
You're the Minister for Public Works. Have you not been involved in these discussions?
Oh, absolutely. So, and importantly, the Minister for Public Works sets procurement policy, and our intention was to procure a quarantine facility because the Morrison government did not procure a quarantine facility. Our hotels were built for tourists. They weren't built for keeping people safe from viruses. We made the decision to build that facility. It was the right decision for the time, and I'm sure the audit report will vindicate that.
Has it been used for any other purpose other than quarantine?
I'm not sure what it's been used for in the interim, but as I say, buildings of this quality have a long life cycle and it will have many uses into the future, I'm sure.
In Toowoomba last night, it was pretty heated.
Mm.
Police minister got shouted down. looking for Parliament returning so you can put these reforms to it? And can you give any sort of guarantee that those reforms will have a downward impact on crime?
I think the most important thing about last night was that the ministers were there. They spent several hours hearing from that community. The other important thing was that there were 3 of Queensland's most senior police there. The police have an incredibly important function to play in dealing with these issues. I'm confident that we're giving them the resources to do their job properly. I'm supportive of the regime that will be introduced into the Queensland Parliament next week. Between the police and the laws that we're introducing, they're all designed to keep our community safe.
Do you think government should have leadership succession?
The Premier has been very clear that she wants to lead our team to the next election. I know that Minister Farmer and myself and the entirety of our caucus have put our full support behind the Premier. My ambition is for the Premier to lead us to the next election and for the Palaszczuk government to continue to serve Queensland as it has been doing for the last 8 years. No worries. Thank you. Thank you. Well done.